important as an architect to not always be in the creator kind of mindset. I think he needs to get into the observer mindset, because a good observer is a great architect, because when he's observing, he's kind of capturing the nuances of your routine, the daily life of a city, and he's kind of creating a solution parallelly as a creator.
Belonging is very important. Belonging and identity, because I think that what really lasts, and also that will help us. That's the step one, I would say, because we want a community of the audience or the residents to feel belong to the place. It's their place, and so they will help us to shape it together.
Hello everyone, my name is Pooja and I'm once again very, very delighted to welcome all of you to VC Live Season 4, Episode 2. If you're joining us for the first time, VC Live is a monthly webinar series presented by Godrej Values Co-Creators Club, an initiative by Godrej Locks and Architectural Solutions. Through VC Live, we bring together leading voices from architecture and design for meaningful conversations on the ideas, processes, and perspectives shaping the built environment. We had a very truly engaging session, Season 3, with thought-provoking sessions and diverse perspectives that made for a memorable series. Before we begin today's conversation, let's take a look back at some of the moments from the last season. This was all about the last season. GVCC is a growing community of architects and designers across India, brought together to exchange ideas, explore innovation, and champion thoughtful people-first design. If you haven't joined the community yet, you can do so by clicking on the chat link. Let's take a moment to see what GVCC is all about.
Welcome to the Godrej Value Co-Creators Club, where innovation meets collaboration. GVCC is a unique platform for architects and interior designers to merge their creative visions with our innovative product offerings. We aim to cultivate a network of thought leaders, driving innovation and excellence in the industry. Celebrate your achievements with our GV's Awards, recognizing innovative projects across various verticals. Join our community through exhibition visits and masterclasses to stay updated on the latest trends and technologies. Enjoy exclusive access to new products, special discounts, and tours of our Mumbai and Goa plants. Join the Godrej Value Co-Creators Club today. Be part of a community that values innovation, collaboration, and sustainability.
Godrej Locks and Architectural Solutions, a trusted leader in home safety, continues to innovate through its latest campaign, Befikar Living Unlocked, featuring the next-gen Advantis IoT 9 digital lock, designed to address modern safety needs through smart technology. Let's take a look at the film.
Thrusters.
Check. Door lock check.
डोर लॉक घर का डोर लॉक किया था या भूल गया
भूल गया
घर का लॉक फटाफट से चेक करके आऊं क्या
ले आइए गोदरेज IoT 9 डिजिटल लॉक 9 सिक्योर एक्सेस मोड्स ऑटोमेटिक लॉकिंग ट्रिपल बोर्ड और कई एडवांस फीचर्स अब घर के अंदर या बाहर रहो बेफिक्र
घर जाते ही गोदरेज डिजिटल लॉक लगवाऊंगा
At VC Live, we look beyond the finished image to understand the thinking that shapes architecture and design. And today's conversation asks a timely and a very important question: the secret behind successful future cities. What really makes a city successful in the future? Is it scale? Is it infrastructure? Or is it something deeper? The way cities create connection, support experience, encourage movement, and remain meaningful to the people who use them every single day. As cities continue to grow, the real challenge is not just how to build more, it is to how build better. How do we create urban environments that are connected, engaging, sustainable, and memorable? Through the lens of mixed use design, urban experience, planning, and contextual thinking, today's speakers will help us explore what makes cities not just functional, but truly future ready. We'll also have a moderated conversation and a live poll and a Q&A audience session at the end. So please do keep sharing your questions in the Q&A tab as we go along. All right, let's begin by inviting our first speaker. He brings extensive conceptual design experience across a diverse range of lifestyle projects and is widely recognized for his strong leadership in retail and mixed-use environments. His work focuses on creating differentiated customer experiences and unlocking new possibilities through concept generation, retail planning, circulation, and integrated design strategy. Over the years, he has spearheaded the delivery of high-quality lifestyle projects across Asia, Australia, and the Middle East, bringing a valuable international perspective to how architecture can shape urban life. Most recently, he spoke at IPAC's Asia Pacific 2026, where he explored ideas around reinterpretation over invention, the value of craft in a globalized industry, and the growing role of data-led design in shaping retail and mixed-use environment. Today, he's going to share his perspective on what makes future cities truly successful and how architecture can help shape urban places that people connect with, return to, and remember. With such an extensive credit to his work, please join me in welcoming architect Billy IP. A warm welcome. How are you?
Hi there. How are you?
So good to have you with us today virtually. All of us are truly excited and looking forward for the works that you'll share with us. So yes, over to you.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And also, it's my honor to join the VC Live and share my ideas and also have a conversation with the distinct guests as well. So, give a little background of myself, and then we can roll into the sharing. So, I'm Billy. I'm from Hong Kong. I'm the principal of Bagot, and also I'm the global sector leader for retail. The next page we'll talk about. So Bagot is like a global footprint company. So we got about 150 years old experience. In the next page we can talk about the map. We have about 900 to 1,000 people around the world, and also we got 18 offices. So I'm based in Asia, so that's why I understand a lot about the Asia context. But today we're going to share a little bit more than just Asia. So we'll talk about Asia and also our experience in Australia altogether. And then on the next page, we will be also seeing we have a different focus because like we are quite a global company. So we talk about city building, urban planning, and also mixed use architecture, commercial buildings. But of course, like there are the extension of hospitality, healthcare, aviation, and also rail. So, and then on the next page, we can talk about, so we as a goal, as a 7C network, we talk about the architecture for the worlds ahead on the next page. Thank you. So in this one, you can see a couple of images showcasing, how we work globally. It's a different sector focus. And today, of course, we'll talk a little bit more about on the commercial side and also on the mixed use side. It's like how we can engage the community, how we can really bring a lot of life to the city. Next, thank you. So we have this belief and also our core values about, it's a fast changing world. So it's like our commitment is building a better city. That's why it's exactly aligned with the topic today. So what's the secret? So we are going to share about it in a second. Next, thank you. So when we're doing the design, so it's like not just the drawing, it's really think about it, think deeper. So you can see there's like process there when we're doing the design, design the empathy. explore the possibilities. We have the curiosity to push the boundary. And also we think what we're designing and also building, we want to inspire the future. And of course, it's a positive impact. We talk about sustainability, how we're creating that sustainable longevity for the city. Next, thank you. So now we're going to jump into 3 different cases and sharing. All of them are different focus, from the mixed use into a office building and also retail. So it's these 3 different projects, and they all located in different part of the city. And so we're going to share about, what's the secret. So in a nutshell, I would say it's a 2 word. One is the community, and the second one is culture. I think these 2 are the very important ingredients for really make a better city for the future. So the first one we're going to share now, we call it Collins Arch. So it's a very significant buildings in Melbourne along the Yarra River. So you can see it's a very complex mixed-use building, and also it's a giant building as well. So composed with office tower, residential, a W hotel, and like some surface residence as well, and with retail at the bottom. So it's a very complex building. So on the next page, we can talk about, but what we're focusing is not just about delivering those uses, but and more importantly is the open space, which is on the left-hand side. So that's something we also really focus when we're designing the planning, make sure it's open to the city. It's not just like putting a big block of architecture sitting in the center of the city. It's like how much we're committed to give a better, penetration, resting space, and also social space for the people. So on the next slide, you can see the complexity all the way from the top, slowly cascading down to the bottom. So there's a lot of function. That's why, of course, as you all very distinctive architect, you understand, how complex it is, like with all the core wall, all the structures, but we committed to give this public space for the city. So on the next slide, you can see that's the master planning. It's the block within our block, instead of just putting 4 walls, but we actually created a lot of connectivity between the street. And also between, we call it the laneway system, which is also really famous in Melbourne. And so we want to retain that idea and then move it also, like applying the laneway ideas within our architecture and buildings. So on the next slide, you can see how we start creating different moments and experience. Because we understand different uses, because it's a hotel, there's an office, and also residents. They use the space in a different time of the day. From the daytime, from the afternoon time, even from the evening time. So that's why on that side, we look at how we want to very active retail and how we're creating a common social amphitheater for the audience or for the visitors, and also the people living upstairs. So in the next slide, you can see as a isometric view of the building. So instead of putting 4 walls there, we have a lot of penetration. You can see it's from all different angles, from the east, from the north, from the south and west. You can easily entering the building, and all the building is comprised by a lot of public space. So in the next 2 slides, we can start seeing how this active edges, we call it, around the building, how we engage in the building. People can be very easily penetrating into the building. And also the building, part of the building or the ground floor plan is really active. And also on the next slide, we can see once you getting into the social amphitheater, that's really where people stay, come for lunch, or it's even a hangout space, or even little talk or forum for the W Hotel when they're organizing events. I think this is the amazing part about how an architecture should really engage in the community. You're creating a space for them. So now we're jumping into the next very interesting Asia project. So in Asia project, we also, I take this very particular case, is in the most dense area in the city center of Hong Kong. So it's called Causeway Bay. So this is a multi-level retail complex. So on the next slide, you can see it's a very complicated building. So, it's multiple levels, it's 14 levels of retail sitting right in the heart of the city. So on the next slide, we can see, it's a lot of different levelings, and also it's a big block. So what we're trying to do, what we're really creating is instead of just a retail, because it's a very vibrant and young culture area, that's why we really want to target this community and give them a space, like a breathing space in this really bustling city. So in the next slide, you can see When we started on the project, it's a renovation project. So they got a sky garden, which is on the right-hand side. And obviously it's really underutilized it. So it's like people not really engaging with it. I mean, that sounds like it's a good, like a sky pocket there, but because it doesn't really have any function and like attractions, people are not really using it. So what we did is like really boldly think about it. Okay, what can we do? We look at a young culture. We look at in Hong Kong, what the younger people do. And then we really boldly introduced an idea, the skateboarding. We created a sky skateboard park in the city. So in the next slide, we can see how we start imagining this space could be activated. We have this crazy idea. You have a really good view of the city. It's on the level 7 of the city. And also we want to create this, we call it urban attitude idea attached to the younger generation and creating this really world-class skateboard sky park there. So on the next slide is more than that. When we're creating this park, we think about how can we engage the city, the culture, and the community more. We have events about, almost like a voting of different kind of artwork can be applied to holistically in this space. You can see the entire ceiling, a part of the columns. We have a different kind of ideas we're exploring and also have a voting system with the people or the community, and then they can vote which one they like the most. And then the one we move forward and really applying there. So creating a really distinctive and unique space. Next. So you can see this is like, the outcome is amazing from a very underutilized kind of sky garden, now turned into a one-of-a-kind urban park. We call it like a sky skate park. So with a really interesting artist work on the ceiling. On the next slide, you can see it's a local artist or like a graffiti artist. And then we have her to come over and really explore with us together, and then so you can see the whole ceiling is really nicely designed and graphically presented. And also that come together nicely with the overall vibe of the skate park. So in the next slide, you can see it's very well utilized afterwards. So in the next few slides, they have events now, they can use this space, and also the community start growing about a skateboarding community. And also they have a teaching class there. In the next slide, you can see they have some music events, the skateboard events is all happening. So it's like become like a really time with the community and the culture of the city, and also the vibe just right. So in the next 2 slides, you can also see a little bit more imageries, like, after it opened, it's just really bustling. Like, the busking, the music festival, that's all happening. So we really bring this energy tying with the building and the architecture. And then now I'm going to share with you the last project, but it's also a very interesting project. So this project now, we're from Asia, we're back to Australia. Now we're going to the Brisbane. So why I picked the Brisbane project is also very interesting, because it's more like a little bit tropical kind of weather. So it's like, kind of all day, all year hot in a way. Of course, they have their winter, but I think we're picking this project in Brisbane because it's very interesting from a big mixed-use building and so in the first one, and then we're getting into a very complex retail project on the second one, and now we're getting into the office tower. And people will think, okay, office tower, how special we can do with it. The people come in and work and then they go. But what we are really pushing the boundary is like we want to create this kind of breathable office tower. It's like we want to make it really open. It almost become like a WeWork for the city. So we're creating common launch for the people. So enabling a lot of people, or like the tenants on the upstairs, they can inviting their partners to come over in the common launch to have meetings in a common area. So on the next slide, we can start seeing, how this is being formed. So the building itself is in a very interesting location with a very rich history. There's a heritage there, used to be a market there. So we want to kind of have this vibe, and also the geometry and the history and the legacy bring into the new life of the site. So in the next slide, we can start seeing, how the building is a complex. It's a complex office building, but at the same time, how we're creating really active floor plan again. We talk about in the first project in Melbourne, and also how this active ground floor engage with the old buildings and the new buildings, how they combine together. And then the next slide, you can see how we have a really openable facade. So you can see it's almost like a like a skirt, like the podium, but like you can see the area is really open. Instead of like you entering a glass door, you actually entering the whole open oasis there. And the next slide, you can also see, how this space is not created. So you just literally going into our plot and our building. So we're creating a lot this kind of like an active pocket, the social pocket. So in the next slide, you can start seeing how the whole floor plan work. So now we bring the people in, bring the people up, we bring them onto the level 2, which is very interesting. We bring it as our ground floor or the first floor. We call it the first floor is the common launch area. So that's where people actually able to invite their counterparts or like, their client to come over, just have a meetings, quick meetings in this social space area. So we're creating the whole new kind of like urban meeting rooms for the our CBD there. And the next slide, you can start seeing how the space being formed. It's very casual, but at the same time, really polished, very nicely done together. And of course, a little bit of the tropical touch, and also, the airflow, the ventilation is well considered. And then on the next slide, again, so you can see how the space is formed. We also got artists creating like very interesting media art, for the entire ceiling to really gauge the entire kind of like a shared meeting room or shared meeting lounge area. And then the next few slides, we start seeing how the ground floor work. Because the ground floor, we already elevate everyone onto the first floor. And the ground floor, of course, we want to create the public park. And then we also have to have some sort of retail and also restaurant and bistro. And even we bring like a little beer bar there, like a brewery there. So, this is like how we really engaging the people in the city. So people feel, oh, this is a cool working place. Come over, we can have a meeting in our common meeting room, and also we have a beer afterwards. And then on the next slide, again, you can start seeing, how the space is formed. And also in this place is very interesting. On this ground floor, or even on the next slide, you can start seeing like, we also work with couples of artists together and bringing really meaningful art to engage the space. And the artwork also tying with the history of the project, the market I showed you earlier. So again, a different format, some fixtures, some installation, some decoration, and also some digital media art. So in the next 2 slides, and also the last 2 slides of the project, you will start seeing, how this kind of art, tropical, open space, social meeting room is all come together really nicely. And then in the last slide as well. So you can see it's like we work with a distinctive artist in Australia to really creating this like, indigenous idea and also the market history, and then how they bring together into this really meaningful project. So yeah, so this is a really quick snapshot. And today I just want to share with you what is the idea with a 3 different disciplines. No matter it's a big mixed use or just a retail focus or to an office, I think the community and also the culture, I think there's something I'm really fascinated about. And I think that probably will be the answer I'm giving to today's topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Architect Billy. I think the works were amazing. I must say that, and I'm sure the audience members will also agree to it. But more than that, I think all the designs that you just showed was absolute backed by a lot of positivity and a lot of inspiration that will tell not only today but in the future times. So thank you so very much for having such a passionate heart towards every project and creating such amazing works for us. Thank you very, very much. All right, now it's time to welcome our second speaker. He leads the conceptualization and project planning at Pentaspace, bringing a future-focused lens to design and a strong understanding of spatial planning, timelessness, and large-scale thinking. His role within the practice reflects a balance of creative vision and strategic clarity, shaped further by his experience in large-scale project management and client-facing design processes. Pentaspace itself is a Mumbai-based full-service design consultancy whose work spans residential, commercial, public, retail, hospitality, and industrial projects across India. The studio's design thinking is rooted in a response to space, nature, and light, with a strong emphasis on planning, innovation, sustainability, and contextual design. For today's discussion, he brings a perspective shaped by projects such as Heartfulness International School, Hyderabad, a campus imagined not merely as a school but as a living ecosystem where landscape, sustainability, climate response, and learning comes together in one integrated environment. The project uses a central courtyard, shaded circulation, vertical greenery, and passive design strategies to create an educational space that is both environmentally conscious and deeply human. Today, he will share how design thinking, planning, and contextual sensitivity can play a vital role in shaping future ready environments. With all that in place, let's welcome architect Gaurav Sanghavi. A warm welcome, Gaurav. How are you?
Hi Pooja, how are you?
Well, good to see you.
Hi everybody at VC Live. Welcome. And I think I'll start kind of discussing about three projects. One being in an urban residential context. The second one being a hospitality project in India. And the third one being a project with a campus institutional project in Hyderabad. So a practice is it's spanned across India, and we s-
Hi.
there's a snag. Just a minute. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Can we can we see that?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a residential project. This site is based in Borivali next to Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and Sanjay Gandhi National Park are known for their Buddhist caves, the Canary Caves, the UNESCO certified Buddhist caves. So we said that why don't we kind of create this next kind of understand the palette of cave architecture, see what we can kind of introduce into the project in terms of your fresco paintings which are part of cave architecture. We have this rustic palette of of these cave architecture, which we felt that I think this is very synonymous with something which we can kind of introduce into our architectural realm of the project, the residential project which we were designing. Next. So what we did is this entire drop-off experience pavilion, which is there, which kind of connects the three towers, tower A, B, and C. This entire drop-off experience, we've kind of done this entire fresco painting on the ceiling, and we have this beautiful 6-meter Buddha relief sculpture right at the entrance. Right. Next. The entire idea was to create this dialogue between the neighborhood, the building, and the occupant, right? Because what happens is you end up taking these, you end up taking these apartments, and you kind of don't really relate to where the neighborhood is, what is there in the neighborhood. And the idea was to kind of create this curiosity within this building to create this communication with the occupants. Next. Yeah. So even if you see in the interiors, the way we've kind of, we've done a storyboard of Siddhartha to Buddha, right? Which is kind of connecting tower A, B, and C. The idea was to kind of create this story which connects this entire community together. Next. This was the entire material palette which you kind of put across when we were designing this, in terms of we wanted filleted weather shades, because there's no edges in nature. Everything is kind of filleted. We had this entire color palette which kind of resonated with nature. The entire texture palette which we kind of created was around nature. So the entire idea was to create this entire complex which is resonating with the cave architecture, which is a part of the neighborhood, create this dialogue back to the occupants, and create this calm environment within where people can kind of come and resonate the neighborhood. Next. This is another project. This is a hospitality project, Amrai. The name says it. Amrai is called it's called the Mango Orchard. And it was very interesting because the entire project, next, we were actually not the architects. Nature was the architect in this project. There was lush mango trees, part of this entire complex, which was given to us, and we had to kind of weave our, you know, the built environment within the negative spaces of that mango orchard. So, we had to kind of be very sensitive towards the natural environment out here. Next. Yeah. So here again, what we've done is we've taken, since this is in Alibag, right? There are vadas which are traditionally part of their architecture. And these community vadas have these very, not very loud kind of doors and entrances. They are very subtle and very, what do you call, oh, smaller entrances to kind of enter into this space. Next. Here again, what we did is the entire project was woven around with laterite stones. The idea behind this was that we could source this material within 50 kilometers from the site, and this was the locally available material. So we had local masons, we had local carpenters to kind of stitch this entire project together in terms of building it with us. Next. Again, we kind of integrated with the local artisans to kind of create these bamboo lampshades, this entire pottery. So the idea was to kind of work with the local people, work with the local material, create this sustainable kind of an eco-sensitive resort within Alibag. Next. Next. We regenerated this well, which was part of the complex. It was important because the water is a problem in this area. So we made sure that we regenerate this well, which is part of this entire ecosystem. Next. Yeah, so again, this is the material palette which we kind of put across in terms of the doorway, which I spoke about in terms of the Vada architecture, the entire material palette of laterite stone, clay roof tiles, kota stone, all locally sourced materials. The entire color palette also is in line with that. The flora and fauna again is all local. So the idea was to kind of create this small boutique resort within Alibag with local handicraft, local labor, and source everything within 50 kilometers. This is the third project, the school. This was a net zero project which we designed. The entire school is completely solar powered. Next. The entire idea behind this was, if you see in the plan, we had created these classrooms which are between nature and man-made. So the courtyard becomes where you have this play area, this entire turfed area with all the equipments. Whereas on the outside, we have this forest trail where children actually kind of grow plants and kind of create this urban vegetation around their school, around their classrooms. So the classroom actually kind of is an osmosis between the man-made and the nature. Next. This is the entire corridor which you see, I think, children running. It's more like a buffer between the classroom and nature. Next. Again, this is the central courtyard, well lit through the natural light. All classrooms kind of open into this courtyard. Next. Again, if you see the canvas, we've made sure that we're not going to superimpose any material on the children. We've used true material. This is exposed concrete. The idea was to kind of make sure that their work kind of stands out and create this canvas for them rather than kind of impose our materials and our thoughts on them. Next. Again, this is a look at the classroom, the way it kind of opens up into the green, into the forest. Yeah, and that I think is one of the last images where the entire canvas is kind of, you can see how they've kind of really put up their art using the entire school as their canvas. And that was the endeavor, that we kind of create this environment for them where which they can feel safe in and use it the way they want and not be really shy of touching or feeling anything. So I think this is the gist of some of our thoughts, some of our projects. Yes, Pooja.
Thank you so much, Architect Gaurav. I think thank you for sharing such varied projects, firstly. And all the projects had some story to tell, but I think overall, what I could understand is everything was so elegant, rustic, and earthy. Because even the school had something to do with the element of being earthy and rustic. So thank you very, very much for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you so much.
Once again, thank you so much, Architect Billy and Architect Gaurav, for sharing such amazing works with us. What both your presentations remind us is that successful future cities are not built through infrastructure alone. They are shaped through experience, connection, planning, and the ability to create places that people relate to over time. Today's topic, The Secret Behind Successful Future Cities, asks us to think beyond technical efficiency and ask a more layered question. That is, what makes a city truly work for people? Let's explore a few ideas together before we move into the audience interaction. So this is the time where, if I can also request Architect Billy to, yes, join us. And you, in any, if you have any question or anything to share to each other, this is the time. Yes.
Hey, Gaurav, thank you. It's a great presentation. And also, I think it's like two things in my head. I think it's amazing. It's like how you make the nature and the building as one. And also how you have a curated nature with function, basically. So I think having the tactiles and the consideration about the run edges and the materials and connect with the people in such amazing space, I think is really, really lovely. A lot of consideration and local craftsmanship. I think that's also, we share the same belief about, the kind of cultural overlay, the art overlay. I think is very important. I think that, that's where really bring warmth and temperature to the building.
And I think that is something which would lead to future cities, right? Because I think AI technology, that is always going to be part of architecture, but the part which is missing is that human interface, the culture which we kind of pour into architecture. And I think that is something which, as a studio, we are very, very conscious. And I think I could see that even in Billy's work. I think, to kind of create that energy through the culture into architecture. And I think that is what will define future cities.
Yeah, I think so. Like, also we share the idea about we don't get the AI to take it away, basically. So, as we should be on the driver's seat. And so I think both our projects, like, there's a lot of thinking behind it. Like, the thinking you can really deeply see, like, no matter the scale of the project or the discipline of the project, we think about the audience, you think about the residents there, you think about the kids and students and the teachers' environments there. And for us, we think about the retailers and also, the office worker. I think that's the thinking part is also the most amazing part. Like, to be honest, for me, is the creative dialogue is always something fascinating.
Yes, yes. And I think the more closer you go to nature, I think it becomes much easier because it kind of answers a lot of your architectural queries. You go a little more away. I think even in the school, I think we said let's be true to the nature of the material. We don't want to superimpose anything to the students because we don't want to give any impressions, right? As an architect, you somehow have to kind of hold back your architecture. You give a raw canvas to them and let them kind of explore. So I think, a lot of your work, which we saw also with the graffiti work, and, I think that interaction between the occupant, you don't give a finished product, right? You have to kind of create that a little bit of space for them to kind of fuse themselves into the product.
Yeah, I think the word you use is great. Is that the infusion? Like, we cannot do it and preparing. Then they will have their perspective and creating the new dialogue as well. So it's like we're the designer of the city, and so we're not going to just give the answer there, but we're actually setting a good foundation. and then that the good foundation, and then the direction is right, and everyone will engage. And so it's like, we shake the city and the city, and the people also shake, shake the building together. I think that's the amazing part about how you see you're able to creating a really good foundation and platform for the audience to use it, and then how they use it, and also give you a little bit surprise sometimes as well. Because they learn and they have a different perspective, which is great. I think it's always good to see how community really engaging and kind of make you think. It's like, what can we do better, or like, there's something involved as a new idea.
Absolutely. So before we move forward, I just had a quick question, because we're just talking about a lot of the secret behind the future successful cities. So in that one line, what is that first thought that comes to you? And we can go one by one. Whoso wants to start, that what is, according to you, that one line of secret that you think is going to be the thing for the future cities in terms of architecture and design? Anyone? You want to start, Gaurav?
Human-centric. I think that is something which is very important, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree on that. I think it's like it's to be a community driven. So really thinking about the human and the community, your audience, and then they will give you the answer. And so it's not like a designer or architect to just like, I want this building to look like that, and to bang, just put it there. It shouldn't work that way.
Yeah. All right. All right, so now that the discussion is over, it's time to go to the Q&A session. But before that, there is a quick small activity that is for the audience members. So we have this very interesting section called the poll question. So we have 2 questions that's going to come on the screen one by one. This, like I said, this exercise is for the audience members. So one question will come, there'll be 4 options to it, and then out of which we'll give you 30 seconds to the audience members, and they can quickly see and vote whichever option they feel fit for the above question. So yes, let's start with our first poll question. And the question is, when you think of a successful future city, what matters most? And the options are A, strong public experience, B, mixed use connectivity, C, sustainability and resilience, and 4, identity and sense of place. So this is the question. The time starts now. And the question is a very interesting one, actually. You can also actually think about it and let me know post the poll is over. And that is, when you think of a successful future city, what matters most? The options are right there on the screen. And we're about 10 seconds to go. All right. My team gives me a heads up. And the answer is, any guesses? According to both of you?
I think identity and a sense of place. I
That's
think that's
exactly what I was thinking too.
Thank you so much. But the correct answer is, the audience has given the which is sustainability and resilience. So yes. All right, we move on to the next question quickly. And the question is, what drew you most to today's session? And the options are A, to understand how future cities are being shaped. Option B, to learn from Indian and global perspectives. Option 3, to explore mixed use and urban design thinking. And option D, for inspiration and design insights. The time starts now. This cannot be, you can't answer this because you've presented. So let's see what the audience members actually, which option do they choose, which becomes the maximum out of the 4 options that we've given. The question is a very interesting one. What drew you most to today's session? 10 seconds to go. And
You should have all of the above.
Yes, that would have been easy. That's why we didn't give that. We would have got the maximum votes on that. So hence we thought, let's be a little tricky here. So yes. All right, the team's given me a heads up, and the option is to the second one, which is to learn from Indian and global perspectives. So let's clap for each other. Thank you very, very much. All right, so now we'll quickly jump on to taking some audience questions. There are a lot of questions that we've received. We'll start with architect Billy. Someone's asked, in your view, what is the single most important factor that transforms a city from merely functional into truly successful and livable? That's one. The other part of it is how can rapidly growing cities balance economic development with sustainability, heritage preservation, and quality of life?
Thank you. Thanks for the questions. It was a great question there. So, the first one, I was just like, I think belonging is very important. Belonging and identity, because I think that what really lasts, and also that will help us. That's the step one, I would say, because we want a community or the audience or the residents to feel belong to the place. It's their place, and so they will help us to shape it together. So instead of we just trying to uh, impose or to really reinforce things, but I think the belonging, the identity, and is very important. And then the other question we also talk about the heritage preservation. I myself is a big believer in the heritage preservation. I think because history comes with a reason, and also that's what where we all comes from. And I think instead of just building another similar glassy tower city, I think each. I mean, think about it. Back in the days, every city, Italy, France, or India, China, they all have very distinctive architecture. And now it's getting a little bit of like globalization. So it's like, which is okay. It's a period of time, but I think like from moving forward, we should really treasure where we're from, and then from there, we of course we can modernize it. Think about what's the aesthetic wise as well. But I think where the root is very important for a city.
All right, thank you. So the next question is a common question for both of you. It's by an architecture student, and he or she is asking, how can architecture make cities more connected to people and place? And I'm presuming he or he's going to start the journey quite soon. So hence the question. How can architecture make cities more connected to people and place? Yes. You want to start with Gaurav? You want to start?
I think contextual architecture is very, very critical because, as Billy said, everything starts kind of looking the same, and the corporatization of architecture is a challenge, and you kind of lose the identity of places. And I think that is very, very important. I think we hold on to it. Of course, you can modernize it. You can kind of have interpretations of it, but I think holding on to what we had as heritage is very, very important to take forward. So that's my take on it.
Okay, I absolutely agree. So on top of it, I think it's like understand the function and also the culture of the people. So I think function architect is always good in doing that. Like we understand how to make it efficient, like to solve the problem. I would say we're the problem solver. But I think for the cultural aspect is like where the people they feel connected. So some project I'm exploring about indigenous vegetation. That's like it's not a one size fit all things at the end of the architecture, and should be. And then and I think like Goro, he used all these like local artists and the artwork, and the craftsmen and the materials that is very meaningful for the future user, because like is what it means to be there. And then just how you aesthetically right to put it together again with the new function. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your ideas. So we'll quickly take two back-to-back questions for architect Gaurav. One is, what is one change you would like to see in the way future cities are planned in India?
My main concern is the way we are going vertical, right? We're going high rise. And the more you're going high rise, you're kind of losing the context of ground nature. That is a very big concern for me. I think rapid urbanization and verticalization of urbanization is something which I'm a little worried about. So I think that is something which is a concern for me.
All right. And the next is, as Indian cities grow, how can we balance development with sustainability?
I think we need to understand that India has its own different challenges, right? In terms of, I think it's very important we kind of introduce urban agriculture into our ecosystem, right? Because we've always been an agro country, right? And we kind of destroying farms and kind of creating urbanization, which is kind of spreading across. So I think by doing that, and I think we have enough intent is the only thing which is missing. I think there's enough education, there is enough know-how to actually get, this agro urbanization to kind of fuse with our cities, because that is our way model forward, right? We cannot ape the West, we cannot ape any other city in Asia. I think India has its own challenges and pluses and minuses. I think we kind of play within that and kind of give a different solution to the world, is what I feel.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll go on to Architect Billy. So someone's mentioned, thank you so much. It was a fantastic presentation. But the question is, how do you see retail spaces changing in future cities?
I think because I'm very specialized in retail, which is something I'm really fascinated about. Because the retail is something changing every day. Basically, it's just like the trend as well. So I think that's where which I'm really even like in not just about future cities. Let's talk about India, because like retail is like a test bed for a lot of things. A test bed about people's new lifestyle, future lifestyle. So don't get scared about it. I think it's meant to be ever changing. So that's why when we're doing these developments, we need to think about the flexibility. It needs to be flexible, and then which means like it means to be changed. So that's why we're not going to cast a stone there and then they will be there forever. I think that's a bit the nature of the retail, and we should always think about it and remember that that flexibility, the excitement, the content. I think that's how I really get into retail focus, like in the past 10 years.
Lovely. So we'll take a common question from both of you. It says, how can design make everyday experience easier and better in the fast-growing cities? The reason I took this question, because we've done something here and there about this, but every day was something that I got a little attracted towards. So I said, I'll just ask that. Yes, everyday experience easier and better in fast-growing cities. Yes.
I think I'll take this question quickly first. So how it's like as a city creator, we need to really observe and think about how the people could use the space. And like because like we think about it, it's like that's how I work in my team. Is like instead of just doing the architect's hat, you should always think about the user hat. When you put that hat on, you kind of think very differently as well. Okay, after that lunch break, I probably want a coffee walk. From coffee walk, what's the distance, like where I can sit down? So think about it. You need to create. You need to create the experience. And so because that's the day-to-day or even hour-to-hour experience you need to think about as a user. And that will definitely help you when you're designing the functionality, the typical kind of architecture question. So I think like always having when to hat, which definitely help us to really think about from day to day, even to time experience of our future user.
Yes, lovely. Yes.
I think, as Billy rightly said, I think it's important as an architect to not always be in the creator kind of mindset. I think he needs to get into the observer mindset, because a good observer is a great architect, because when he's observing, he's kind of capturing the nuances of your routine, the daily life of a city, and he's kind of creating a solution parallelly as a creator. So an architect, a good architect, is an observer and a creator, and that balance is what creates a good architect, according to me, and a good city. Yeah.
But how do you motivate? This is from me. How do you motivate yourself on an everyday basis? Like it's like the craft, everything. There's a pressure from the client, everything like in place, but still, how do you motivate yourself?
So for me, it's very easy. I never look at any architectural work. I always read stuff which is other than architecture, because I feel architecture is a culmination of everything, right? It's kind of, so I kind of read, biology. I'll read everything, fiction. I just keep myself charged with that, and then kind of I see how I can kind of get that into the present architectural realm. So it kind of gives me that space to keep getting myself excited with newer ideas.
That's an interesting way to look at, actually. So lovely. Yes. Yes, Billy.
I think so for me, it's like the passion and the curiosity. That I mean, we get into this industry, and the we have these opportunities to creating the future city, which is like really like um, honored and important. So, of course, like we have all this deadline, client pressure, and things like that. But you think about it, you're really the one creating the city. You're able to draw and think. I think that's like, give me a lot of passion and drive when I'm designing, and also I always radiate that out with my team. So it's hard work, but that's what we're doing. But I think that's like really fruitful, and we mean to be a creator.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll take two more questions. We'll start with Architect Billy. Someone's asked, how do you shape what you call active edges? What is the designing process here? And how do you have a feedback loop to your designs? Is it really, if it really did what it was intended to do? Long question, but yeah.
No, absolutely. So I think the active actors, like, I just kind of make it a little bit more like a soundbite terminology. But definitely, you think about it, actually, every big building is now, especially in India, is like fast growing, big block, is how the master planner, urban planner just like giving different plot, and everyone just do it on their own. Okay, this is how I maximize the GFA, like, how I do it, take to the boundary of the red line. But think about it, it's like how you're creating dialogue with the people. Instead of the people, you don't need them to enter your building, but they just enter laterally. So this is how the edge is going to be blur with the people. So, you may have to take a step back about the efficiency and things like that, but you think about how you actually adding values by the people coming. So
Right.
it's the different values. It's more intangible, but we bring it as a tangible values where people come. So I think the active edges is just like a quick term, but I think that just means like, we shouldn't just look at a building on its own. It's always zoom out and have a more like overall view.
Mhm. Lovely. So we'll take one last question for Architect Gaurav. It says, it is important as designers to design the future life of these buildings, the upkeep, maintenance by engaging the inhabitants. How can then architects imbibe that quality into the design process?
I think this is. I think there's enough technology out there which kind of supports architects to kind of create structures which last longer, right? In the urban fabric, right? But if you look at projects which are close to nature, which kind of age with nature, you have long-standing structures across the world, right? Which actually go through the test of time. So it kind of depends which project you're looking at. It's a retail space, it's a residential apartment, is it an institutional building, choice of material, choice of what we kind of doing there. So all of that kind of really matters to actually pinpoint an age of a building, right? So if you're doing an institutional building, I think you want it to kind of really last the distance. But if you're doing a residential block, you know that it's a 50, 60, 70 years, and there is going to be redevelopment, there is going to be urbanization, redensification of the city. And that's exactly what's happening in Mumbai, right? So it kind of really depends. But yes, there is enough technology out there to make sure that we get long lasting buildings.
Perfect. All right. Thank you to both of you for answering all the questions. I think it's all 10 on 10. And on that note, that brings us to the end of VC Live Season 4, Episode 2. On behalf of Godrej Locks and Architectural Solutions, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to our incredible speakers, Architect Billy IP and Architect Gaurav Sanghavi, for sharing their insights, perspectives, and processes with us today. And of course, a big thank you to all our audience members who joined us live and made this session a part of our evening. Today's session reminds us that the future of cities is not shaped by infrastructure alone. It is shaped by the quality of experience, the strength of planning, the intelligence of design, and the kind of places we choose to create for people to live, work, move, and connect. The most successful future cities will not only be efficient, they will be resilient, memorable, inclusive, and deeply human. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and continue designing with purpose. Thank you very much. Please take care.
Thank you, Bali. See you. Bye. Pooja.
See you. Bye.
Thrusters.
चेक डोर लॉक चेक
डोर लॉक? घर का डोर लॉक किया था या भूल गया?
भूल गया
घर का लॉक फटाफट से चेक करके आऊं क्या?
ले आइए गोदरेज IoT 9 डिजिटल लॉक, 9 सिक्योर एक्सेस मोड्स, ऑटोमेटिक लॉकिंग ट्रिपल बोल्ट और कई एडवांस फीचर्स। अब घर के अंदर या बाहर रहो बेफिक्र।
घर जाते ही गोदरेज डिजिटल लॉक लगवाऊंगा।
Welcome to the Godrej Value Co-Creators Club, where innovation meets collaboration. GVCC is a unique platform for architects and interior designers to merge their creative visions with our innovative product offerings. We aim to cultivate a network of thought leaders, driving innovation and excellence in the industry. Celebrate your achievements with our GV's Awards, recognizing innovative projects across various verticals. Join our community through exhibition visits and masterclasses to stay updated on the latest trends and technologies. Enjoy exclusive access to new products, special discounts, and tours of our Mumbai and Goa plants. Join the Godrej Value Co-Creators Club today. Be part of a community that values innovation, collaboration, and sustainability.